What is going on, YouTube? It's Matt with the Matt Out Here YouTube channel. Today I'm here at Lost Maples State Natural Area, and I'm going to be doing a couple different hikes. I'm going to start out here on the Maple Trail, which is a 0.4 mile trail, and then I'm going to connect over to the East Trail, which is a little over 3 miles, and then I'm going to round out here at the East Trail West Trail, which is just about a mile. So I entered right here in the parking lot. I've driven here to the trailhead, and now I'm going to start out right here. And you can see this trail follows the Sabinal River right here. So we're going to have some beautiful views today. Some of the main attractions we're going to be checking out are the Monkey Rock, the Grotto, and then also this scenic overlook right here. So come along with me. I hope y'all enjoy this video. We're going to be checking stuff out, and we'll take it from there, y'all. But I heard this park's beautiful, and I made sure to come in October when the leaves are changing colors. So it's very quiet here today. I made sure to pick a day that there wasn't a lot of people here, and really we're gonna have to park to ourselves. So come along on this adventure with me, and let's see what we find. All right, y'all. When I was in the visitor center, I was reading some of the signs that they had, and there was one specific call out that I wanted to make sure we noted, here before we even start on this adventure. And it's the difference between the sycamore leaves and the maple leaves. The maple leaves are going to be small, and like it says here, they can fit in the palm of your hand. And sycamore leaves, they're going to have a lot of similar characteristics to the maple leaf, but they're going to be a lot larger. So as we're exploring this trail, we'll have to really make sure we understand the difference between the sycamore tree and the maple tree. But just looking out at all this fauna here, there's already tons of color change, right? As fall kind of welcomes itself into the season. So let's go explore, y'all. I can see all this color here. Everything's looking incredible. So I think we're gonna have a really good time out here today and see something really special. So today's trails are not going to be difficult. I think the only challenging trail that we're going to be embarking on is going to be towards the scenic overlook, which will be a split off from the East Trail. And everything's going to be relatively flat, not much elevation gain. We're really just walking along and looking at the beautiful fauna and seeing these maple leaves turn colors here in the fall. And we're going to be following the Sabinal River. So this is going to be more of a peaceful walk is what I'm assuming. But with that said, the scenic overlook will be a little challenging. There's also other challenging, more primitive trails here in this park. So for today, I'll be doing one challenging hike, and then we'll also be experiencing the East Trail, which will be easy. But I'll make sure to call those out along the way. So right here, we've hit a fork in the road, and if I were to go right, we could continue doing the East Trail. But I'm going to go ahead and go left, which is the Maple Trail. And this is going to loop me back into the East Trail down the road. But for now, I'm going to take this trail. Right here at the entrance to the Maple Trail, if you're hiking up the steps here, something really neat to look at is this one rock right here is full of fossils. You can see this one right here. You've got a curve right there. All these ancient seashells right here. This one looks like an old oyster, if you can see that there. But it's all caked into this limestone here. And that's because when the ice melted after the Ice Age, all of the land here was a shallow sea. And that's what's actually created the environment here for the maple trees to thrive millions of years later. So the dramatic walls that surround us are carved from the Edwards Plateau. a massive slab of limestone lifted by ancient tectonic forces, and over millions of years rainwater, slightly acidic from dissolved carbon dioxide, has eaten into the stone, carving these narrow canyons and hidden springs. The result is a meeting of desert and forest, cedar and prickly pear clinging to sunlit slopes while maple and sycamore thrive below in cool shade. Standing at the base of a canyon wall, you can see time written in layers, each band of rock a chapter from the Cretaceous sea that once covered Texas. Tall canyon walls here surrounding us. Very incredible. Today's just a beautiful day, y'all. Beautiful breeze just kind of blowing through the canyon here, and all the leaves are turning this beautiful yellowish, rusty red color, and it's something to see. Definitely add this park to your list because it is something magnificent. So here at Lost Maples, we've got these deep limestone canyons, and they cradle this rare forest of bigtooth maples. And the trees, they're blazing with fall color, unlike anything else in Texas. And the Sabinal River, which is running here to my right, winds through all the cliffs and the springs and the hidden grottos. And really, compared to all the other state parks I've been to, I feel worlds away from Texas here and this unique environment. So the Maple Trail really is the soul of this park. And beneath the canopy of these bigtooth maples, the air feels cooler and damp, and the air is scented with leaves and limestone. And these trees, they're living relics from the Ice Age. Remnants of a time when Texas was cooler and a lot wetter. As the climate warmed, most maple forests disappeared, but this isolated population survived in these shaded canyons where springs fed the roots year-round. In autumn, as you can see, the forest bursts into colors of red, orange, and yellow. And we're just starting to see that here in mid-October. Scientists call it a relic stand, meaning it's the last survivor of an ancient ecosystem. So stepping here is like stepping into a history book, but not as far back as, say, Texas history or the American Revolution, but millions of years ago, as we walk underneath all this unique fauna. You can see that most of the bigtooth maples are still holding on to their rich green leaves, but that's about to change. Once the first real cold front rolls through the hill country, these canyons will transform almost overnight, turning brilliant shades of red, orange, and gold. And that's when Lost Maples becomes the sight everyone waits for each fall, a true Texas show of color. Right here we can see a beautiful maple tree. And it's just as the visitor center described, with the leaves being the size that they are. You can tell they're very small and can fit in the palm of my hand. Very neat. The canopy and the shade that these trees offer is awesome. So here we've got a sycamore tree, And you can see the size of the leaves right here that have fallen down, and they are pretty large. And this tree is super tall. And beautiful all in itself. And it looks like the leaves are turning on this one faster than they're turning on the maple tree, because these are already very rusty red, orange, yellow leaves. And as you can tell, a lot have already fallen. And we've not had our first cold front here in Texas yet. So once that cold front blows in, these maples are really gonna start turning their colors and dropping their leaves. So I think if you really wanted to catch this at the right time, this park would be just beautiful in later October or maybe early November, when things have really just set off and the leaves are falling and everything's turning. And on a beautiful day like today, where you're getting that slight breeze, beautiful sunshine that's not hot, it would make for a perfect day out here in the park. Got something cool to show y'all. So when I was driving out here, there's tons of exotics. I saw some buffalo, I heard a black buck antelope, and even some emus, which I'm assuming were either fed pretty regularly, because they came right up to the fence in the car, and I had actually pulled off just to get a picture of the sign. So really neat out here, the amount of exotics and ranches, and also the canyons that are out here. They've got these caves that you can see just driving from off the road. So you know that there's mountain lions probably bed down in a lot of them. And just, you always wonder what's not been explored yet. What's out there that we don't even know about, right? That's hidden on private ranches or just not yet discovered. So it always gets my mind thinking. So I thought that was pretty cool, but I'll share with y'all this video and a couple pictures, and then we'll get back to our hike here.
The east-west trail ties the park together. It crosses from shaded canyon into open plateau, from lush maple groves to dry cedar and grass. And this contrast is what defines Lost Maples, life adapting to extremes. In 1 mile you move from ferns and moss to cactus and sun-baked stone. It's also a reminder of how elevation, exposure, and moisture create micro-worlds that keep rare species alive here when they've vanished elsewhere.
Just a heads up, y'all, at the end of the Maple Trail, there's this large rock bed that you'll have to cross to get over to the trail on the other side. So I just wanted to make y'all aware of this, because the Maple Trail is relatively really easy, but if you got to this point and maybe you're not looking to do such an intense hike, or you have trouble getting over rocks, you could go ahead and turn back at that point. All right, y'all, we have reached the end of the Maple Trail, and here there's an option to return to the trailhead parking, which you could loop back around and do the East Trail if you came in through the Maple Trail, or if you came in through the East Trail, you could go do the Maple. Now we're going to be beginning the East Trail, the real bulk of the East Trail here. So let's keep it moving, y'all. When you're out here exploring and you're looking at these creek beds and between these canyon walls, and you know that what's being represented here now is obviously very different from how it was thousands, if not millions of years ago, probably even hundreds of years ago. And it really gives you some perspective, because I think back to my video where I was at Government Canyon, and you see just the few dinosaur tracks that were found in that area and in that environment. And then you take into perspective Lost Maples here and how wet it probably was. I mean, there was water here, you know, that could have provided for all sorts of life forms. And probably for some time it was maybe, you know, that shallow sea where animals were actually like swimming and living in the water. But over time that probably dissipated, right? So that probably disappeared. So really you had an environment where dinosaurs could thrive and live in here, and they'd have all the resources that they needed. So what I'm trying to say is we only know what we know, and there's probably all sorts of hidden fossils and dinosaur tracks all across these state parks, all across Texas for that matter. And you know, look at what they discovered at Waco Mammoth. I mean, it's incredible. So sometimes it's just because we're not looking, but I'm sure there's a lot more to the story to tell than we know. Our habitat's shifting slightly now out of the big maple environment, and you can tell we've got a lot of cedar trees again. We've got little blue stem growing on the sides of the trail, and side oaks grandma, and you know, oak trees. And it's starting to look a lot more like the Texas Hill Country in certain spurts of the park here. These trails are just super nice and wide. I'm assuming it's because of the traffic and the amount of people that come in the fall. But on a day like today, where there's nobody, it's perfect. Something else really neat is that the maple is actually growing between the cedar. They're actually competing for space here in this park and resources. So all this young growth of maple here is intertwining and interweaving with the cedar. So pretty cool.
At the heart of Lost Maples flows the Sabinal River. Its name comes from the Spanish word sabina, meaning juniper. Fed by underground springs, the river runs clear and cold, carving smooth channels through pale limestone. And in some stretches it disappears underground, only to re-emerge farther down the valley, a classic hill country trait. Its banks shelter towering bald cypress trees whose roots braid through the rock, and deer, fox, and songbirds all depend on its water.
All right, y'all, I'm walking over to one of the main attractions here. It's Monkey Rock, and it's a rock formation that formed between these canyon walls, and it looks like a monkey. So y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Does this look like a monkey to y'all, or am I tripping? All right, y'all, this is Monkey Rock. Check it out. Just a heads up, y'all, to those looking to get to Monkey Rock. There's some semi-steep stairs here, both going up right after you've gone to see the rock, but coming down as well. Just watch your footing, and I just wanted to make y'all aware of that in case you're planning on coming out here and have any limitations. All right, y'all, we're back on the East Trail, and we're gonna keep it moving. Here's a perfect example of where the Sabinal River kind of pops back up out of nowhere, and all of a sudden you've got life again, and you've got this nice cool stream, and right here you could tell it stops and the trail goes over, and next thing you know there's water again. So it's so neat to think that water created all of this and actually was running right through here to create this. The water must have been extremely high at some point. A lot of times in these grottos and in a lot of these dwellings is where you'll find a lot of cave paintings from the indigenous people that lived here long before America was even settled. So think back the Apache tribes, the Comanche tribes, or the Tonkawa Indians, right? They were all living in here around the water and around the animals, around the fauna. Water is life, right? So wherever there's water, you're gonna find a lot of activity, a lot of history too. So remember, this is a state natural area. So you've got a lot of opportunities for primitive camping out here and just being in a more rustic and more rural, remote environment. A little different from just a regular old state park. So here you've got your first primitive camping site. And yeah, it's just tucked away nice off the trail here. Pack everything in, you pack everything out, and pretty neat. Pretty cool, nice and shaded. Nobody's here, nobody's set up shop yet. So I think you could call and make a reservation and they would reserve it for you, and then you just head on up here when you do, hit the trail, enjoy the maples, and come set up shop. So close to the primitive camping spot along the East Trail, you've got your first outhouse really, and really nice. So if you came out here and camped, you'd have access to a restroom out here, and yeah, takes care of business. So that's all you need. We've got all this new growth of maples popping up right here. So just after Monkey Rock and the primitive camping area, there's this neat place called the Grotto. And here water seeps from cracks in the cliff and drips over an overhang lined with maidenhair fern. And over thousands of years, those drips have built up layers of travertine, forming delicate curtains of stone. And just so y'all know, a grotto is a small natural cave or sheltered recess, but the word carries deeper meaning. In Catholic tradition, grottos became places of devotion, symbolic of the sacred meeting of earth and spirit. The famous Grotto of Lourdes in France inspired countless replicas around the world. Standing here, surrounded by dripping water and green ferns, it's easy to feel that same sense of calm and reflection. So I highly encourage, if y'all come to this park, take some time to sit here and reflect and soak in all this natural beauty that this park has to offer. pretty steep and rugged up here, y'all. The trail definitely takes a turn from being just an easy walk to this uphill battle. But definitely take note of this. So the climb up will definitely get your heart pumping. Come prepared for that. That was a steep ascent. And yeah, definitely when they say challenging, it gets your blood going. All right, y'all, we're right here, and we're about to split off and do the scenic overlook, and then we'll connect back and really just round out the trail, get back to the headquarters, and then walk back over to the car. Remember, we started from here, so we've made our way around here. Monkey Rock was over here, and then over here was the grotto. So we've covered quite a lot of ground, and this has been a really spectacular trail. The scenic overlook is definitely something to check out. It's a quick stop. It's only a third of a mile from the split off to where you continue going on the east trail to connect to the east-west trail. But definitely add it to your list of things to do. Wow, y'all. Just my thoughts, but if you pass the scenic overlook and you keep going down the east trail, you come to this overlook. And this overlook is super nice. Look at all that wide open space, just as far as the eye can see, trees out in the distance in the horizon, birds circling above overhead, a nice beautiful landscape of clouds. You've got the Sabinal River running right between us. This is awesome, y'all. It's just incredible. So this is Primitive Camping Area B, and you can see it's up here out in the open. So if you were interested in maybe doing like stargazing or something out here at night, that would be the spot to do it at. Come camp up here, most definitely. So around Primitive Camping Area B, gets a little confusing on where the trail goes. When you see the sign, just keep going straight. You don't need to go off to the right or to the left, just keep going straight. It looks like the trail goes to the right, but it doesn't. Those are just more camping sites. All right, I've reconnected with the trail, so all hope is not lost, but I'm still out here in this beating sun, and I've got about one good drink of water left. And then that's it for a while, y'all. So this trail is definitely, I don't know if challenging is the right word, but it definitely it's a little extreme in some areas. So you know, parts of it aren't, but parts of it kind of are. So take it all with a grain of salt, and you decide your limits. But I'm out here, and I will take one for the team. So let's continue, y'all. Check out this fossil right in the rock there. It looks like a cornucopia. It's got that spiral shape to it, but it's a large seashell. All right, y'all, we're gonna continue on the east trail here. All right, y'all, we're headed back to the trailhead and back to the parking area. This should only take about a mile or so. So we are almost done with the hike, y'all. There's a neat cave right up in there, I can see. And here's a beautiful shot of that Sabinal River that we could see from the overlook above us a minute ago. Going to take one last look at these beautiful maple trees. In about a week or two, they're all going to change color, start dropping off these trees. But yeah, we're just closing out this adventure here. So this trail really was a treat. All right, y'all, we just finished the East Trail, and now I am going to head back to the car. That was quite the hike today. I think it was a little over 5.2 miles with some significant elevation gain around the middle part of the East Trail to the West Trail area. I think if you wanted to come out here and just kind of take things easy, you could go do the Maple Trail, do the East Trail, go see the Monkey Head Rock, go see the grotto, and then maybe if you wanted to go up and just take some of the scenic area and spend some time up there. I will warn you, it gets hot up there, but I think those are really the main attractions. The rest of the loop of the trail coming back was not, to me, much different than the Maple Trail was. I think the Maple Trail offered a lot more than the finishing out of the loop coming back. So I think that makes a really good hike here, and I think it doesn't have to be as intense as I made it today. It did end up heating up on me quite a bit, especially up at the top there where some of those scenic views were. It got really hot, but there's enough to do down here, and it's cool down here, a little damp. So really take advantage of that. Before I let y'all go, I just want to talk a little bit about the beauty of some of the state parks and areas that could be just in your backyard that you might not even know about, right? A lot of people think they have to go on these extravagant trips and, book a flight and hop in the car and drive, cross state to see some of these beautiful things, right? When you take a place like this, Lost Maples, where the habitat's entirely different from the other state parks we've been to, and it doesn't look much like Texas at all when you're down there amongst the maples. So keep that in mind when you're looking to explore, and there's probably something right underneath your nose that you could go experience that is going to just feel like a vacation. It's going to take you away from the place you're at and give you an opportunity to just rest and relax and, get out in nature. That's it for this adventure. I hope y'all enjoyed this one, and definitely come join me on my next one. We'll see where things take us, and I hope y'all take care in the meantime. All right, y'all. See y'all next time.